Wow, it's great to see such a large crowd on this wintry evening. It shows an interest in storied Stratford. And a warm welcome from this collaborative Fanfare Books Provocation Ideas Festival event. I'm Mark Rosenfeld, the founding director of the Provocation Ideas Festival. And before I make a few comments about the festival, about the events that took place this winter, will be taking place in January, as well as the fall events this month and last. I'd like to acknowledge the land we are on. In coming together, we wish to honor the traditional territories of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Attawandaron. These territories are subject to the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant and the Huron Tract Treaty. And we acknowledge and value the historical ties and contributions of the Métis, the Inuit and Indigenous peoples in this community and beyond. And we're grateful to have the opportunity to live, work, and play on this land. And we also encourage everyone to explore the truth and reconciliation process and the importance of our relations today as we move forward together to do the work needed to properly honor, reaffirm these treaties. And let's remember that we are all treaty people, as written and signed in historical documents by ancestors many, many years ago. So I know that some of you have gone to a number of provocation events this afternoon and on Thursday with the CBC Ideas event and previous events that took place. And as I mentioned there, this is the second year of the Provocation Ideas Festival in Stratford. We began in Toronto in 2022 and expanded to Stratford last year. This year, and in the following 2 years, our theme is City of Dreamers. And through a variety of events and venues, the festival explores the dreams and aspirations of those who lived and are living in the region, from the Indigenous presidents to the current and future inhabitants. And it celebrates Stratford's incredible invention and reinvention over many, many, many years, driven by its dreamers. Through community storytelling, through culinary exploration, through the geographic landscape, through choreography, collective art creation, and the voices and imaginations of our children. And the festival also intends to ask some provocative questions. For example, why do some dreams succeed in Stratford? Why do others not? And how would the city be different if the unrealized dreams came true? Who has the luxury of dreaming? Who doesn't? And how might that change? What binds the community together? What splits it apart? And how can divides be overcome? And where does Stratford's best future lie? Tonight is the last City of Dreamers event for this fall. And the programming over the last month and a half have embraced a number of events: a live ballet and AI-generated imagery and neural ballet redux, River of Dreams, which is an exploration of the Avon River, how it unites, how it divides, through working with local artists and our story to do incredible things, incredible presentations in various mediums to explore the river. Shaping Tomorrow's City, which was this Thursday's event with CBC Ideas. Reimagining Stratford, which took place this afternoon, which was a community-based discussion on what type of Stratford do we want, how can we create citizen-engaged development. And on January 9th, we'll be doing Culinary Stratford, which is an exploration of Stratford's culinary transformation over the decades, with speakers who were involved in that culinary transformation, as well as a multi-course meal that will be curated in partnership with Mercer's. So as I mentioned, tonight is the conclusion of our events this fall, Storied Stratford, which is an apt conclusion to the City of Dreamers events for the fall. It's going to be an evening of readings, performances from short stories, from vignettes, plays, historical accounts related to Stratford and the region by local authors, poets, actors, playwrights, and musicians. And it really showcases how rich and varied and unique is the talent and culture of our small city with an international reputation, and the way in which Stratford itself has inspired and continues to inspire cultural innovation. So as you took your seats this evening, you were welcomed by the music of the Celtic singer Lorena McKennitt, who is a Stratford-based, of course, and world-renowned in her own right. Many, if not most of you, I'm sure, are aware of the talented performers that are going to be performing this evening. Actors Sheila McCarthy, Graham Abbey, Kelly McIntosh, Stacey Smith, and Chris Majaki. Mystery writer Bruce Barber, poet and artist Carla Coles, singer and songwriters Aviva Goad and Lauren Nielsen. They'll be taking us through a multifaceted tour of artistically inspired Stratford and beyond. So let's sit back and dream with them. A few logistical points. There will be a brief intermission of 10 minutes after our musical interlude, about 8 o'clock. The washrooms are on my left. You can see where the exit sign is, and that's where they're located. I'd also like to note that following the intermission, there may be some material that's inappropriate for younger audience members due to authentic language and explicit references. The evening is scheduled to wrap up around 9:15. I know it said 9, but I think it's going to go beyond that. Storied Stratford is also being filmed, and you'll be able to view it on the Provocation website. Finally, before we begin, I ask you to check your electronic devices and to turn them off in case we have an unanticipated interruption. So let's now begin our Storied Stratford adventure with Sheila McCarthy.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. How lucky are we to be in Stratford on this snowy night? Tonight, I am so pleased to present an excerpt from a wonderful story for young people called The Stratford Adventure of Adrian and Tiddlywinks by John Sullivan Hayes. The Stratford Festival was just a dream when the author of this book, John Hayes, moved to Stratford to join the festival in 1953 to become one of the original actors and co-founders in the festival's very first year. The book was written in the attic turret of his home right here in Stratford on Trow Avenue, a mere 2 blocks from the Festival Theatre. This is a wonderful story about dreams and the joys and challenges of life backstage at the Stratford Festival Theatre, told through the eyes of a shy young boy and a talented mouse he names Tiddlywinks, both of whom aspire to be actors. The shy young boy is named Adrian, after the author's grandson, Adrian Hayes. Aspiring actor, 10-year-old Adrian Fitzroy lives with his family in London, England. He has a toy replica of a Victorian home theatre in his room. Adrian often performs all the parts of the plays, pushing small cardboard actors onto the stage with long wire holders. Each play has its own cutout characters and scenery. Now, unbeknownst to Adrian, he has a tiny spectator, a mouse, who often watches as Adrian presents plays on his toy stage. The mouse is fascinated by these performances. At night, when Adrian is asleep, he climbs onto the stage and pretends that he too is an actor. He's just about the same size as the cardboard characters. One night, Adrian glimpses the mouse on his stage and names him Tiddlywinks. One day, Adrian's father, also an actor, excitedly announces that he has taken a job at a new theatre in Canada and that the whole family will be moving there from England. The theatre is the Stratford Festival Theatre in Stratford, Ontario. On hearing the news about the trip across the ocean to Canada, Tiddlywinks thinks about what an adventure that might be. Perhaps in a Canadian theatre, he could meet other mice who enjoy acting. Tiddlywinks climbs into the packing crate in Adrian's bedroom with the toy theatre, which the movers have already packed and which will shortly be headed to Canada. On the voyage across the ocean, Adrian lies back in his bunk and looks at the brochure his father's given him. It's all about a new Canadian theatre in which his father is to star. On the cover is a picture of a large building shaped like a tent. It stands on the side of a hill, and below it flows the Avon River. Inside the pamphlet is a photograph of a wooden stage with seats on 3 sides. At the back of the stage is a balcony with pillars underneath. Just like Shakespeare's stage, Adrian says to himself. After a very, very long journey, and on arrival in Canada, the crate from England, including Tiddlywinks and the Toy Victorian Theatre, finally arrives at a train station platform, Stratford. Tiddlywinks thinks to himself, home of the Shakespearean Festival. The crate is soon delivered to a large Victorian house on Trow Avenue. It's a tall red brick building with a turret on one side and a white wooden veranda. Tiddlywinks is only able to have a quick look before the workmen lift the crate, take it up 2 floors to the attic. Adrian also arrives at the house to begin living in the attic bedroom in Stratford. Shortly after their arrival, Tiddlywinks discovers other mice with acting aspirations in the attic. Tiddlywinks and Hotspur, another attic mouse who's become a friend and also wants to act, talk about joining the drama club, an acting troupe of mice who live under the stage at the Festival Theatre. So Tiddlywinks decides to go there in search of the Mouse Drama Club and eventually encounters a troupe of mice producing Shakespeare's play, The Tempest. Chapter 13. Why did you come to Canada? Asked Hotspur. Well, I've always been fascinated by the theatre, replied Tiddlywinks. My friends in London were not interested. I heard that Mr. Fitzroy was going to appear in a play there, so I decided to come. Most remarkable, said Hotspur. I often watched Adrian playing with his model theatre. Sometimes I would get up on the stage at night and act out parts I had invented. That model is now set up in the attic here, Hotspur nodded. I was up there last night and heard that Adrian is planning to take an audition at the Festival Theatre tomorrow. Is the theatre near here? Very close. A group of mice have a drama club there and put on plays. I don't go there anymore. Why not? Said Tiddlywinks. Well, I agreed to act in one of their productions, but the director is a real dictator. He told me I had too fiery a temper and made me very angry, so I left. That's how I got my name, Hotspur. Tiddlywinks became excited when he heard about the drama club. I know directors can be difficult, he told Hotspur, but I must go and meet these mice. Well, you better be careful, Hotspur advised. There are many cats in the neighborhood. Well, just show me the way, said Tiddlywinks impatiently. Hotspur led Tiddlywinks down an old servant's stairway and through the kitchen to the back door, then showed him a path through the garden. When you get to that greenhouse at the corner, he said, turn left and you'll see the theatre building. See you soon, called Tiddlywinks as he hurried on his way. There were no cats around, and he soon arrived safely at the entrance to the theatre. A black and yellow flag was flying from a mast on top of the roof. Tiddlywinks could hear it flapping in the wind as he peered through one of the glass doors that ran round the front lobby. A cleaning man was polishing the marble floor. He saw no one else, so he slipped under the door, ran through the lobby, and found himself in a promenade that ran around the auditorium. A number of entrances opened from this promenade into the theatre. Tiddlywinks looked through one of them. There in front of him was the festival stage. A wooden platform thrust forward among the theater seats. At the back of this platform was a high balcony supported by pillars. With mounting excitement, Tiddlywinks ran down an aisle and up 3 steps onto the stage. He paused in the center and looked back at the hundreds of seats that surrounded him. It must be terrifying to act in front of so many people, he thought. Then, hearing someone approach, he scurried down a nearby stairwell into a dark cavern under the stage. From this underworld, 2 passages led up to the forestage. Above him, he saw a dim light around the edge of a trapdoor, and he heard boards creak as someone walked across the stage. It was a cold, unpleasant place. Tiddlywinks was frightened and looked for a way to escape. Through an open door at the back of this underworld, he glimpsed a large, bright room where numerous seamstresses were seated at work tables. The hum of their sewing machines sounded warm and inviting. Tiddlywinks ran into the room. Around him, he saw strange dummies standing on the floor like robots. Their bodies were draped with half-made dresses and uniforms. The radiant colors of muslins, felts, and taffetas gave the room a festive appearance. The sewing ladies were so intent on their work that Tiddlywinks managed to cross the floor without being seen. Passing under a sign that said wardrobe storage, he found himself in an adjoining room where shelves of cloth were stacked to the ceiling. He looked up at the rolls of silks and cottons and chiffons in every hue of the rainbow. On other shelves were boxes of buttons, beads, and spools of thread. Tiddlywinks wandered in astonishment through this maze of materials until he found himself in a corner full of boots and shoes. He had just turned to find his way back when a curious figure appeared from beneath one of the stacks. "Stop," said the apparition. Before him stood a buxom, elderly mouse wearing a white cotton dress. In one paw, she carried a miniature yardstick and in the other a bundle of ribbons. Around her neck was a tape measure, and on her head was a hat that looked like a fruit basket. "What are you doing here?" she demanded. Tiddlywinks was so surprised that he stood looking at her in silent amazement. "Well, speak up." I'm lost," stuttered Tiddlywinks. I was looking for the drama club." Beneath her enormous hat, Tiddlywinks saw a smile slowly envelop the strange mouse's face. Dropping the cluster of ribbons, she held out a paw. "I'm Sophie," she said, "wardrobe cutter for our Shakespeare Dramatic Society." "Plays with costumes?" stammered Tiddlywinks as he felt his arm vigorously shaken. "Well, of course," said Sophie. "Let me explain. Mice have lived in this theater since it was built. We've seen all of Shakespeare's plays produced here. We often disagree with the way they are presented. So we performed our own dramatic club to present the plays in our own way." "What fun," said Tiddlywinks. "Oh dear," said Sophie, exclaimed as she hastily picked up her bundle of ribbons. "I'm awfully late. Come along and I'll introduce you to the club." She ran under a shelf and squeezed her fat body through the hole in the wall. Tiddlywinks followed her and found himself in a hidden room behind the wardrobe storage. Around a platform were several mice, all dressed in costume. "They're rehearsing a scene from A Midsummer Night's Dream," said Sophie. Her voice echoed around the small space. "Break!" shouted an elderly mouse who looked like a schoolmaster. The rehearsal stopped, and all the mice turned to look at Tiddlywinks. They appeared very upset at the interruption. "Forgive us," said Sophie, "but I found this gentleman in the storage area when I was looking for materials, so I brought him along." There was a chorus of disapproval. "Most irregular," said the scholarly mouse as he put a pair of black-rimmed glasses on. He stared severely at Tiddlywinks. "My name is Prompter, and I am the stage manager." Tiddlywinks felt very embarrassed. I'm afraid I just got lost," he mumbled. "No excuse," said the prompter. "We don't like to have visitors at rehearsals. Sit down and keep quiet." "Don't worry," whispered Sophie as they retreated to a corner. "He's really a nice fellow." Tiddlywinks did not feel reassured. Prompter moved to a matchbox that he used for a desk. "Okay, Tony," he called to a tall, commanding figure who was walking impatiently up and down. "Back!" shouted this imperious figure, and all the mice ran to positions around the platform. "That's the director," said Sophie as the rehearsal commenced. "The scene takes place in a wood." The platform was covered with flowers and leaves. 2 mice mounted the stage. The first was a graceful lady wearing a green muslin dress and a tiara made of silver paper. She was followed by a rough, hairy mouse whose pointed ears were sticking through a donkey's mask. "Come and sit down on this flowery bed," said the lady mouse, "and let me kiss thy fair, large ears." This caused a titter among all the mice who were watching. "That's Titania," Sophie confided to Tiddlywinks. "The mouse playing the donkey is Bottom. He always gets the best comic parts. I made the donkey's head," she added proudly. Tiddlywinks wanted to ask if she also had made Tatiana's tiara, but he saw Prompter frown and point his finger at them, so he remained silent. Bottom sat down among the dead leaves with Titania beside him. "Scratch my head," he demanded. Titania beckoned, and 2 mice ran forward and began to scratch his donkey's head. Bottom sighed with pleasure. "It makes me feel very sleepy," he said. "Then sleep, my love," said Titania, taking him in her arms and gently stroking his nose. All the mice who were watching burst out laughing. Prompter looked cross and called for silence. From the back of the platform appeared a handsome mouse. He held a golden wand made out of a matchstick and spoke with a deep, poetic voice. Tiddlywinks saw Sophie look up at him with admiration. "That's Oberon," she said. "He plays all the lovers' parts. He's so romantic." Oberon waved his wand, and a small, wiry mouse darted forward, turned a somersault, and landed at his feet. "Gentle Puck," said Oberon, pointing to the donkey's mask. "Take this off his head." With astonishing speed, Puck disappeared with the ass's head. Again Oberon waved his wand, saying, "Titania, wake you, my sweet queen." Titania awoke and looked with horror at Bottom, who was snoring beside her. Tiddlywinks and the audience of mice could not restrain themselves and broke into a round of applause. "Notes," called Prompter, and all the players gathered round the director. Sophie tugged Tiddlywinks' arm. "We better slip away," she said. "Tony's going to criticize the performance. His notes are very personal, and the actors don't like strangers listening." She led Tiddlywinks to a corner of the room where several mice were sewing costumes. "This is our workshop," she told him as she started to hand out ribbons among the workers. Tiddlywinks was not listening. In the excitement of the rehearsal, he had forgotten he was lost. Now he was wondering how he was going to get back home. "Sophie," he said, "I must find my way back." "I understand," said the helpful lady. "Let me show you." She led him to a hole in the wall. "Remember, you must go through the wardrobe room into the underworld and then up the stairs. Good luck." Tiddlywinks thanked her, crawled through the hole, and found himself again among the racks of boots and shoes. So this book is available. Fanfare Books has very generously left a signed copy at the back, but you can also order it from Fanfare Books. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful read. And there's a photo there, the back of the screen, and on the book table is a remarkable paper collage of the very house in Stratford where the book was written. The collage was created by another Stratford artist named Nell Jocelyn Slaughter. Nell grew up just around the corner from that house, on Trow. I would like to now introduce our next guest, Aviva Gode, a 15-year-old singer and songwriter born and raised in Stratford. And remarkably, she lives in this house on Trow avenue where the Stratford Adventures of Adrian and Tiddlywinks was written. Isn't that great? Aviva loves to sing, but she's also performed as an actor with the Stratford Festival and as a dancer with the National Ballet of Canada. She will sing two of her original songs from her upcoming album, What Happens Then. And then after her will be Lauren Nielsen. Lauren Nielsen is a singer-songwriter, also born and raised in Stratford. Lauren began her career studying voice and guitar under the guidance of Stratford's Dana Manning and has performed throughout the city for the past 7 years. She's currently attending Wilfrid Laurier University in the Community Music Bachelor's Program and continues to spend her time supporting young girls in music in her hometown. Please welcome them.
Hi. The first song I'm going to be singing is called I'll Stop You There. I've done too much guessing, I've done too much playing, I've done too much. What are you saying? What are you? Stop you there before you say something that could make me care. You take up half of my mind, you make me go stupid. Are you controlling me? Are you my Cupid? Well, are you? So I'll stop you there. There is nothing left to say. If I hear your words, then I'll be forced to stay. I didn't care, but now I do, and everything depends on you. Called me up again to say the truth, but stop you there before you say something that could make me Make me care. Thank you. Thanks. The next song I'm going to be singing is called UV Rays. Out on the beach, soaking up the sun, what's melting me? The damage has been done. Who's helping me? It looks like there is no one, no wind in your hair, but there is none in mine. What makes you stare? Is there something on your mind? What's happening in there that you wanted me to find? I'll say that I look for you, but I look for me. I look for me. I look for me.
right, so as you might have heard, my name is Lauren Nielsen. Today I'm just going to play 2 originals. I think that songwriting is a really empowering and expressive way of telling your story and allowing other people to kind of relate to it. So my first song is called Coven. This is kind of a new one, but it's kind of about feeling a little bit different than everybody else and kind of wondering in your head if you're different or everybody else is different and trying to place yourself in with everyone around you. Like low-flying airplanes in the marketing scheme from that horror movie they put out a few years ago. And we already know that I lock every door before I go down, so the man who breaks in won't find me sleeping. Maybe sort of out of control, like scars that make everyone else feel uneasy from so many years ago. Can you stop embarrassing me? We already know that I close my eyes when she starts to take blood, because I feel like they all took enough already. Is it too much yet? And I'm pulling away somewhere safe, where little people don't say nothing. I don't wanna stay somewhere safe. Hide me out, I feel them coming. Find me rotting in this coven. Like the women they hunted, charged straight through my skin, hung out there and bleeding. I shouldn't have said anything. And we already know that my mind starts to wander, my words start to slip. So I break all my bones and I slide in my death to sleep. They don't wanna hear it. And I'm pulling away somewhere safe, where little people don't say nothing. I don't wanna stay somewhere safe. Hide me out, I feel them come. So just based on what I'm seeing from the crowd right now, I feel like we might appreciate a song about moms. Okay. So this is one I wrote for my lovely mother. It's called "Oh Mother of Mine." Oh, mother mine, gave me training wheels, I learned to fly. You took my heart and held it near. I'm not ready to disappear. Oh, Savior of mine, you let me something so divine. So I'll take her heart and hold it near. Don't tell me you need it back up there. So I'm flying with the birds, and I think I'm better off out here. But when I come climbing in your bed, take me in and hold me in your arms a little longer. Oh, woman of mine, your face is coming off on mine. I took your shirt, I took your fine lines, I took your name and your storyline. Oh, lady of mine, you're getting older with time. You're gray, but something's just right. You're still the one to kiss me goodnight. But when I'm running with the wind, and I think I'm better off alone, but when I come crashing at your doorstep, take me in and hold me in your arms a little longer. Oh, mother of mine, you gave me training wheels, I learned to fly. You took my heart and held it near. For you I wanna stay here.
Wow, the talent in this town. Aviva and Lauren, that was just extraordinary, extraordinary. And Sheila, you were okay too. Hi, everybody. My name's Graham Abbey. I am an actor. That's kind of all I do, really. I have had the great privilege of living in this town since I was 10 years old, which, funnily enough, is when I think that picture of me was taken. I haven't aged a bit. It's the Stratford water. I am going to read, but I am going to use reading glasses. I'm going to read from James Rainey's The Bully, for those of you that know it. A little bit of context. So The Bully was written in 1950 and was set in Partridge, Ontario, which is a thinly disguised representation of our lovely town of Stratford. James Rennie grew up on a farm in Southeast Hope near Stratford and was the recipient of the Governor General's Award 3 times for his poetry and drama. And almost all of his poems and stories and plays are set in this area and, in fact, in and around this town and deal with family life and the challenge that rural isolation brings to advancing one's social and economic position, which many of us can attest to, I think. He often uses dreams and symbols to explore a well of conflicting emotions, and so it seems an apt choice for the Provocation Ideas Festival City of Dreamers theme. So these are excerpts from Rainey's The Bully. As a child, I lived on a farm not far from a small town called Partridge. In the countryside about Partridge, thin roads of gravel and dust slid in and out among the hollows and hills. Some of the farmhouses on these ill-planned roads are made of red brick and have large barns and great cement silos and soft, large straw stacks behind them. And other farmhouses are made of frame and clapboard that gleam with the silver film unpainted wood attains after years of wild rain and shrill wind beating upon it. The house where I was born was such a place, and I remember whenever it rained, the whole outside of the house would turn jet black as if it were blushing in shame or anger. Perhaps it blushed because of my father, who was not a very good farmer. He was what is known as an afternoon farmer. He could never get out into the fields till about 11:30 in the morning and never seemed to be able to grow much of anything except buckwheat, which, as everyone knows, is the lazy farmer's crop. If you could make a living out of playing checkers and talking, then my father would have made enough to send us all to college. But as it was, he did make enough to keep us alive, to buy tea and coffee, cake and pie, boots and stockings, and a basket of peaches once every summer. So it's really hard to begrudge him a few games of checkers or a preference for talking instead of a preference for plowing. When I was 6, my mother died of TB, and I was brought up by my Aunt Coraline and my 2 older sisters, Noreen and Kate. Noreen, the oldest, was a very husky, lively girl. She was really one of the liveliest girls I've ever seen. She rode every horse we had bareback, sometimes not with a bridle, just holding their manes. When she was 15, in a single day, she wallpapered both our kitchen and living room. And when she was 12, she used to tease me an awful lot. Sometimes when she teased me too much, I would store away scraps of food for days and then go off down the side road with the strong idea that I was not going to come back. But then Noreen and Kate would run after me with tears in their eyes, and having persuaded me to throw away my large collection of breakfast toast crusts and agree to come back, they would both promise never to tease me again, although Kate, goodness knows, had no need to promise, for she was always kind, would never have thought of teasing me. Kate was like me, shy and rather meek. Noreen's strength and boldness made her despise Kate and me, but she was like us in some ways. For instance, Noreen had a strange way of feeding the hens. Now, each night she would sprinkle the grain on the ground in the shape of a letter, so that when the hens ate the grain, they were forced to spell out her initials. Aunt Coraline, who brought me up, was most of the time sick in bed and was, as a result, rather pettish and ill-tempered. She was the only one of us who had a room to herself, and her days were devoted to the medicine bottle, pill box, making designs and bouquets, telling us stories and bringing us up. Her nights were spent in trying to get to sleep and crying softly to herself. When we were children, we were never worked to death, but still didn't play or read books all the time. Sometimes we picked wild berries into milk pails for money, but after we had picked our pails full, before we could get the berries to the woman who had commissioned them, the berries would settle in the pails, and of course the woman would refuse then to pay us what she promised because she had bought full pails. On Sundays, after Sunday school, we would all sit out on the lawn and drink the lemonade that my father would make in a big glass pitcher. The lemonade was always slightly green and sour, like the moon when it's high up in a summer sky. Noreen would carry out the Victrola, and while we were drinking the lemonade, we would listen to very old and thick records with names like I Know Where the Flies Go and The Big Rock Candy Mountain, and a dialogue about some people in a boarding house that went like this: "Why can't you eat this soup?" Various praising replies about the soup and its fine, fine qualities by all 15 members of the boarding house. Then, "So why can't you eat the soup?" And the non-appreciative boarder replies, "Because I ain't got a spoon." The record company had thoughtfully put in some laughter just to fill up the center. Those Sunday afternoons are all gone now, and if I had known I was never to spend any more like them, I would have spent them more slowly. We began to grow up. Noreen did so gladly, but Kate and I secretly hated to. We were much too weak to face things as they were. We were weak enough to prefer what we'd been as children rather than what we saw people often grew up to. At the age of 11, I decided that school teaching looked neither too boring nor too hard, so a school teacher I would be. It was my one chance to escape what my father had fallen into. To become a teacher, one had to go to high school 5 years and go 1 year to normal school. 2 miles away in the town of Partridge, there actually stood a high school. That spring, Noreen had gone into town to work as a housemaid, and at my request, she went to look at the high school. It was situated right next to the jail. And Noreen wrote home that of the two places, she'd much rather go to the jail. In fall, I walked into high school with my lunchbox and my school books under my arm. One took 15 subjects. In business practice, you learned how to write out checks and pay electric light bills, a knowledge that so far has been of no use to me. In science, one was taught how to light a Bunsen burner. But I never got used to high school. Almost immediately, I became the object of everyone's disgust and rage. The English teacher stood me in corners, the history teacher denounced me as an idiot, and for no reason that I could see, the art teacher went purple in the face at me, took me out into the hall, and struck at my defenseless hands with a leather thong. But gradually, I did begin to get along not too badly, and might have been a little happy if something had not happened in the boys' cafeteria. Now, my lunch always included a small bottle of milk. The bottle had originally been a vinegar bottle and was very difficult to drink from unless you put your head away back and gulped it fast. One day, when I had finished my sandwiches and was drinking my milk, a certain young man, he couldn't be called a boy, who sat near me with his back to me, turned around and said quietly, "Does the baby want his bottle?" I blushed and immediately stopped drinking. Then I waited until he would go away. Finally, I began to see that he had finished his lunch and was not going to leave until I did. So I put the vinegar bottle back in my lunchbox. I walked as quickly as I could to a classroom which was left open at noon for the country folk. He followed me there and sat opposite me, a derisive smile on his face. I could not study the products of New Zealand and Australia, and I failed the test we had in the afternoon. Day after day, he tormented me. He never hit me. He would just sit close to me, commenting on how I ate my food or didn't drink my vinegar, and once he pulled a chair from beneath me. In early December, being rather desperate, I did not go back to the boys' cafeteria to eat my lunch, but took my books and my lunch and went out into the streets. There was deep snow everywhere. I ran past the jail, down into the civic gardens, across the river, under the bridge, and onto the other side of the river as fast as I could go. I had no idea where I was going to eat my lunch until I saw the town cemetery just ahead of me. It seemed fairly safe. I could eat my sandwiches under a tree and then keep warm by reading the inscriptions on gravestones and walking about. The second or third day, I discovered that the doors of the cemetery's mausoleum were open and that there were 2 benches inside where you can be buried in a marble pigeonhole instead of the cold ground. To this place I came day after day, and I reveled in the morbid quiet of the place. I sat on one of the walnut benches and whispered irregular French verbs to myself. All around me and all above me, dead citizens lay in their coffins, their rings flashing in the darkness, their fingernails grown long like white, thin carrots, and the hair of the dead men grown out long and wild to their shoulders. No one ever disturbed me. Just before Christmas, they had an at-home at the school. Noreen forced me to take her because she wanted to see what an at-home was like. We went to all the rooms, and finally Noreen wanted to go to the boys' cafeteria. It was dark there, and I felt along the wall for a light button, and I could hear someone climbing in one of the windows. Someone who didn't want to buy a ticket, I suppose, probably someone who came here regularly at noon and thought of leaving a window open for himself. Before I could tell her not to, Noreen had found the light switch and turned it on. The person climbing the window turned out to be my friend, the bully. And like a wild animal, he stared for a second at us and then jumped back through the window. The Christmas holidays were haunted for me by my fear of what would happen at school when I went back there after New Year's. The first morning when I was back at school, I found a note in my desk, and all it said was, "I want to see you eating where you should eat today, baby." At noon, I hid myself in the swarm of city students who were going home for lunch and arrived at the mausoleum by a roundabout way. I was just in the middle of eating my lunch on the bench in front of the Honorable Arthur P. Hingham's tomb when I saw the bully trying to open the great doors to the mausoleum. He couldn't seem to get them open. At last he did, and all I can remember is seeing the advancing edge of the door, for I toppled off the bench into a dead faint. By the time I came to, it was 1:30, so I started to walk home. My head ached violently as if someone had kicked it, which turns out to be the case, there being a red dent just below my left eye that turned blue after a few hours. On the way home that afternoon, I had just reached a place in the road where you can see our house when I decided I was not going to bear to go to high school any longer. So I went home. I told them that I'd been expelled for walking into the girls' door instead of the boys' door. They never doubted this was true, so little they knew of high schools and their rules. And that night, as I lay in bed, while outside a strong, cold river of wind roared about the house, shaking everything, I dreamt 3 dreams. And I've never been able to discover what they meant. The first I dreamt was that Noreen was the bully and that I caught her washing off her disguise in the water trough in the yard. Then I dreamt I saw the bully make love to Kate and she hugging and kissing him. The last dream I had was the longest of all. I dreamt that just before dawn I crept out of the house and went through the yard, and all the letters Noreen had ever made out of grain while she was feeding the chickens had all sprouted up into green letters of grass and wheat, and someone touched me on the shoulder and said sadly, "I haven't got a spoon." But I ran away without answering across the fields into the bush. There was a round pond there surrounded by young chokecherry trees. I pushed through these and came to the edge of the pond, and there lay the bully, almost pitiful, his arms and legs bound in green ropes made out of nettles. He was drowned, dead, half in the water and half out of it, but face up. And in the dim light of dawn, I knelt down and kissed him gently on the forehead. The bully.
Wow, the bully will never seem the same to me. So we're going to have a brief 10-minute intermission to get up from your seats, stretch, and I emphasize just 10 minutes. Once again, washrooms are through the exit, and then we're going to return just to reiterate again that some of the content following the intermission may be inappropriate for younger audiences. So 10 minutes, and then see you back on the stage. So Storied Stratford is now going to resume with actors and playwrights Kelly McIntosh and Stacey Smith, reading from Kelly's play, Ladies of the CNR.
Hello. Hello. I'm Kelly McIntosh. God, there's so many things in this town, eh? I'm an arts and culture professional. I'm also the general manager of the Stratford Perth Museum. Yeah, that's great. You are.
I'm Stacy Smith. Were you going to say any more?
I was going to say, and this is
Sorry.
my friend.
Oh, it's nice.
Stacy
Yeah.
Smith.
I'm Stacy Smith, and I'm an actor and a collaborative playwright
That's what we are.
and an educator.
So we're really happy to be here. The ladies of the CNR, Stacy, myself, and an actor named Baptiste Nice, we began working on this project, this feels like so long ago, about 2017, 2015. Now, the other picture, did you see a picture of a bunch of ladies? You're going to see them in a second, because this was a photograph I saw in one of Dean Robinson's book about the railway and about the locomotive repair shops. And I was really, really curious about who they were and what happened. So we went on a journey. I got together with my friend Stacy, and I'd learned a technique up at the Blythe Festival from a man named Paul Thompson, where actors become sort of writers through interviewing people and improvising and putting together a show in that way. So we decided we wanted to find at least one woman alive in this photograph. And it took about a year and a half, but we found Alona Steinecker, who sat down with us and told us what it was like during those war years. And we came up with 10 minutes, then 20 minutes, and we went to different places around southwestern Ontario, Woodstock, St. Mary's. And I would always insist that the folks in that town tell a story. The first act was always stories about women who did war work in their areas. And finally, it all culminated in a show that we did at City Hall in 2018. You're going to hear some new material today because we did spend part of 2020 working on the script. So you'll be the first people to hear some new additional material of Ladies of the CNR. You ready, Stace?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, here we go. October 1941.
The Blue Room, Stratford's famous dance hall at 42 Wellington.
My character, Jean, she enters a back room behind the coat check, and she's in a hurry.
Her face is bleeding. My character, Kitty, asks, "Can I help you?"
What?
Are you all right? You've got blood. Come sit down. Sit down, you're bleeding. Let me get you a hanky or something to clean you up.
Is there some other way out of here?
No, here, put this on your lip.
There's got to be a window or something.
No, take this. Have a seat. You're in shock.
I'll take a drink.
Here.
Got another one?
I'm just taking a break from the coat check while the band plays. No room in there anyway. Roger, the manager, doesn't like letting new people in when the band is playing, so it's a good time to take a break. So who's the nice guy that did this to you? Huh? You married?
We got a kid. Damn it, I got to get out of here.
I'm almost married. Well, engaged. My fiancé Duke works here. It did work here. He's overseas right now, fighting the good fight. We tried to get hitched at City Hall before he left, but everyone else was thinking the same thing. My mother wanted us to be married in a church, and well, that was going to take even longer to schedule. Yeah. Anyway, Duke shipped out, so for now, engaged. Is your husband, is he?
Camp Borden. Eddie will be shipping out soon enough.
That's his name. Eddie? Mr. Nice Guy. Where'd you meet him? Who is it?
I got to get out of here.
Here, take this coat. We got a back exit. Hey, Roger's got some friends. You know, he could talk to Eddie about your face.
No. You don't want to mess with these guys. Thanks for the drink and...
Come on, get going.
December 7th, 1941.
Jean loses her cleaning job.
Enter Mrs. Thompson.
Jean, I'm so glad I caught you.
Oh, Mrs. Thompson, I was just on my way out. I managed to get all the flatware polished.
Of course you did.
Just in time for Christmas.
You work so hard. You always work so hard.
What's bread in the bone?
Here, I have something for you.
A Christmas card? Well, you didn't need to...
Of course we did. Just like every year.
Oh, Nan will be thrilled.
How are her hands these days?
Well, you know Nan. Nothing can stop her. Heaven forbid.
Heaven forbid, yes. I've included your pay.
Oh, it's not due until next week.
Well, it's right in there with your Christmas card. We've included a little extra.
Oh, that's not necessary.
Jean, Mr. Thompson and I have decided we won't need your services any longer.
Pardon?
Our nieces, Jill and Judy, we need to support them.
Your nieces? Aren't they a little young?
With the war on and the things the way they are, we could use someone who will do it for less. They're 13 and 14, old enough to get started.
Have they ever... Mrs. Thompson, it's not that easy.
Surely you understand.
I could at least show them how to clean for a few more...
Surely you understand these are extraordinary circumstances.
I would do it for less.
Obviously, they won't do as good as you or your Nan. But we made our decision. I'm so sorry.
Of course.
Lord knows my mother would be disappointed right now, but the girls are old enough and we need to support them as best we can.
I understand.
I thought you would, Jean. Please give your best to your grandmother.
I will.
January 1942.
Kitty and her mother. Catherine, could you come down to the kitchen?
Do you need something? My shift starts soon.
Catherine, sit down.
I can't be late for work. What is it?
Please stop fidgeting. I made you a cup of tea.
Oh, Ma, are you feeling all right?
Catherine, it's about the house. And money. We need a new roof, and the bank won't give us a loan, and it seems that the house needs other repairs as well. And your uncle, well, he just can't help us out again. Catherine, you've got to help out more.
I already have a job.
Part-time.
I'm doing the best I can.
Are you? And why do you have to work at that nightclub? It hardly pays.
The tips are good.
Late hours with all those people.
Those people? People who just want to enjoy themselves?
Drinking?
Yes, drinking and music and dancing.
I wish you would go back to the beauty salon.
I am not going back to Estelle's. I hated that job. You can't ask me to do that.
Well, why not try to get a job at the bank? That Dunbar girl had a nice job at the bank.
No, that's not what I want.
This isn't about what you want, Catherine.
You just want me to be respectable.
What mother wouldn't?
I don't have time to talk about...
Catherine, we need the money.
Is that everything?
You know, I wouldn't ask if I could do it myself. I'm going to try and take in more mending, maybe offer some dressmaking.
It's not fair. If Father was here, we wouldn't have to do any of this.
I heard about Jack Roberts shipping out last week. I ran into his mother.
Yes, I know.
The bank. Go and talk to them. Please, Catherine.
I'm not going to the bank.
Kitty's brother William from the other room. Hey, Kitty!
Not now.
I hear they're hiring women at the offices at the CNR.
Allen's grocery store.
February 26, 1942.
You need to pay your bill by the end of the month.
I'm looking for work.
No. I'm sorry, Jean. No more extended credit.
Well, what about here? Do you need anybody?
There aren't any extras right now. Can't your family help you?
Sure. I'll be back with the money.
Excuse me, I overheard what you said about needing a job. Look, it's none of my business, but they're hiring at the CNR shops. Well, anyway, you need to go talk to this man. He's a big cheese. He's in the offices at the train station. Have we met? You look familiar. Wait, I know.
What did you say the fellow's name was?
I didn't. Lionel Carter.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Lionel Carter.
March 1942.
When I was a kid, they took us on a tour of the CNR locomotive repair shops. The fellows opened up that big north door, and it was like Moses parting the Red Sea. And right in the middle of it, suspended about 40 feet in the air, is one of the big engines, and it's all finished. They've taken it apart, serviced it, put it back together, painted it up. It's pretty and polished, and the wheels are just gleaming. And the guys who work there, they want to show off just what they can do with that big Morgan crane. So a fella comes out, and he's holding an egg right between his fingers, see? And he says, good morning, boys and girls. How many of yous here think we can lower that big engine close enough to touch this egg without crushing it? And he gets right down on the ground, And he rests the egg on a rail. He signals to one guy. That guy signals to the crane operator, and those wheels are rolling. Well, you should have seen those kids. They're mesmerized. Their eyes are practically popping out of their heads as the wheels are lowering closer and closer because they want to see if the egg is going to get crushed. But not me. Oh, no. I got my eyes on the guy running the show, the crane operator. I mean, how would that feel? How would it feel to lower a piece of machinery, just sail it down with such precision? There's a signal, and the engine stops moving.
It's touching the egg! It's touching the egg!
I just had to get in. I took a look at my application, but then I tore it up. Eddie used to make fun of my spelling, like it was funny. He still had his work clothes hanging in the closet, and I thought, why not? I pin-curled my hair, threw on his work boots, and I marched all the way to Waterloo. Turned left past the bowling alley, one foot in front of the other, telling myself over and over, it don't matter that you can't spell, you can tell a nut from a bolt. Well, maybe with the exception of choosing men. But you can work just as hard as any man or woman or any of them. I slid into that train station and up the stairs to the office, past those fancy ladies and their lipstick and their skirts from Greenberg's, and I walked right up to the man in charge. Sir, what's the chance of you hiring me to push broom in the big shop?
Have you brought in your application?
No, I don't know. Got no application.
Sorry, but I need an application. Those are the rules.
All I got is right in front of you here. Strong arms and a hardy physique kept me going all these years.
Those are the rules, Jean. You're out of luck.
How's your sister these days, Lionel?
I'll see what I can do.
Thank you, sir. I won't let you down. And no, I'm not going to tell you the story of Lionel and his sister, because this is Stratford, and some stories best stay right where they are.
In the shops.
Late March 1942.
My father died when I was 16. I don't think my mother left the house for 2 years. To help out, I got a job at my cousin Estelle's beauty salon, and on the weekends, I worked at the Blue Room. I was the coat check girl. Duke worked at the Blue Room, too. It was the only time we had alone before Duke went off to training when the war started. A couple months later, I put in my application at the big shops, thinking it was going to be in the office. Little did I know, you could spend hours cleaning a train engine. Your hands and face covered in dirt, your back aching, and then a new engine comes in and you have to start all over again. Some days I could never imagine so much dirt and grease. I used to sweep the floors at the beauty salon, but after this, I never want to look at a broom again.
I wasn't always a cleaner, before Thompson's. I was at Kraler Furniture, spitting tacks. Now, we'd heard about the CNR hiring women at the shops with the war on. Pay was 36 cents an hour, women making the exact same as men, as if that ever happened. And Frankie was still so young, so I was going to have to find something new anyway, because Kraler's was on the wing spars, for the mosquitoes. It wasn't like we were on Easy Street. No, we were on Trinity Street, right near the tracks. Lived there my whole life. Family piled on top of one another. But at the bottom of Trinity, you get that big vista, the sun coming up, trains rising out of that field like big black cigars. A person could really breathe at the bottom of Trinity Street. Turn your back on the sounds of dogs barking and people hollering at their kids. And Eddie. And it was like the day he finally shipped out. Oh, sure, we saw the back of him. But Trinity Street kept going, and the bills kept coming, and the trains kept rising out of that field, except 4 times as many. How many times did I stand at the bottom of Trinity Street? I was wishing I was on one of those trains, me and Francis, away from Eddie. I got my eye on you, Jeannie. I got my eye on you forever.
You did run from him once. The Blue Room?
Yeah.
You don't have to, when he comes back, you don't have to.
You and your giggle water. You look like a movie star. You saved me that night.
He beat you up so bad, Jean.
No. That was the guy Eddie owed money to. Eddie asked me to make a drop while he was at Camp Borden, and I guess it wasn't enough. Here's a gift for Eddie. Boom.
Oh, Jean.
I'm so sorry.
You were scared.
You could do me the biggest favor in the world back then. I wouldn't remember you.
It's fine.
And it wasn't the wing spars that finished me at Kraler's. It was the bruises and the fuss he made hollering on the front lawn in broad daylight, right in front of Frankie. Jeez, Eddie. The time he parked his buddy's car right across the front stoop, just daring me to get past him to work. I could have gone to the cops, but...
Yeah, would that have helped? I mean, I would have said yes before I worked at the shop, but I heard one of the men talking about...
Yeah. A man's home is his castle, even if his castle is on Trinity Street. After Eddie shipped out, I thought it would be over. But now he's got his mother-in-law in charge, and I can't do anything right. So we thought we'd leave you with a cliffhanger about Jean's battle with her mother-in-law and Kitty's fight with the grease and all those letters she was writing to all those different men across the ocean. But we thought that wouldn't be fair. So we're going to speed forward in time a little bit. And this is after the war, where Kitty has a reflection. And this is one of the first really strong pieces of writing that came out of our process of interviewing people and researching, and so we wanted to share it today.
Jack, my neighbor. Jack, the first boy I kissed. Jack joined the Royal Canadian Naval Volunteer Reserve during the war. He served on the HMCS Athabascan until it was torpedoed by the Germans on April 29, 1944. I was working in the big shop when I heard the news. I prayed Jack would be okay, and of course all the other Canadians on the ship. A couple days later, we found out that some men had been captured by the Germans, but 128 men were missing, presumed dead. Jack was one of them. I have a picture of Jack standing on my front porch, laughing with my kid brother. We had just come back from the river where we were canoeing. And on the water, Jack had bragged that he had finessed the art of standing up in a canoe without rocking it. Of course, he had to show us, and over the side he went. We didn't stop laughing for days. For weeks after, if someone said the word canoe, our sides would split. After the war ended and my fiancé Duke came home, we took a trip into Toronto, into the big city. I'd only been once before, and I was really looking forward to it. Duke and I were walking up Yonge Street when a man walked by me, and for a second, I thought it was Jack. For a second, I knew it was him. I turned to go back and grab him, hug him, laugh with him. I wanted to laugh with him like we did that summer. I wanted to shout, "Canoe! Canoe!" A couple more seconds passed, and I knew it wasn't him. I just really, really wanted it to be.
Thank you.
Certainly. Hello. Is this thing on? Thank you, John. My name is Bruce Barber. Those of you who read murder mysteries set in Stratford might remember the name Bevan Amber Hill. I co-wrote those with the late Virgil Burnett, also at Stratford. But tonight I'm going to read a story from my first collection of short fiction called Jetsam. Came out during the pandemic, so it kind of got lost. But it's set in Stratford, essentially in the same world as the murder mysteries. It's called Pursued by a Bear. Now, many of you know that's a stage direction, from The Winter's Tale, the full line being, excuse me, exit, pursued by a bear. Wayne Moss has had perhaps 1 or 2 more pints of Guinness than he had promised himself at the beginning of the evening. But what the hell, he thinks. It's Halloween. I'm not driving. And so far, it's been a good Halloween, with the potential to be a great one. If Wayne can summon up the courage from the bottom of his conservative Southern Ontario soul, or from the bottom of 1 more pint of thick, dark beer, the courage to speak to the bear on his left. To Wayne's right is a chess piece, the Black King, although it is in fact a woman wearing the cunningly constructed costume. Behind him are the 7 dwarfs, all over 6 feet tall. They're singing Neil Young songs and pouring white wine over one another's floppy caps. Halloween at this particular pub is always a masterpiece theater of impersonation and deception, since most of the customers are associated with the town's world-class Shakespearean festival. Actors, stagehands, designers, and so on. Not only are they industrious and imaginative, they also have access to the best makeup effects and costumes in Canada. And, of course, all are inherently pagans or vagabonds, if not both. Wayne is interested only in the bear. He is, however, finding it increasingly hard to concentrate on how precisely he will approach said bear, if and when he finally finds his voice. He is, as noted, already drunk. Besides that, his nose itches terribly in a spot inaccessible beneath the outrageous rubber appliance which forms the facial component of his Cyrano de Bergerac outfit. He wrinkles his central nasal muscles violently, attempting to force the phony nose to scratch his real one. The maneuver is unsuccessful, except that the bobbing of the 5-inch fake proboscis causes the bear to turn its head and stare at Wayne. The huge brown glass eyes seem to offer sympathy and comfort. Wayne sighs deeply, remembering his first sight of the bear an hour earlier. He had come in through the bar's back entrance, and his swirling cloak had become tangled in the door. As he cursed and fumbled with it, the door to the women's washroom had opened. A short woman in a tomato suit stood there for a moment, talking over her shoulder to someone inside. Wayne saw the vision that had driven him to his present distraction over her shoulder. Beyond the tomato was another woman, daintily stepping into the furred feet of a bear costume. To Wayne's as yet unblurred gaze, she was the most desirable woman he had ever seen. She was tall, voluptuous, red-haired, and naked. As she had pulled the costume up around her tantalizingly freckled shoulders, her own gaze had settled on Wayne, transfixed in the hallway, his cape draped clumsily over his arm. She had frowned deeply at him, and he diverted his eyes hurriedly as she settled the bear head over her own. Wayne then had an experience that he had previously only read about. His knees buckled. Then his legs became entangled with his plastic sword, and he toppled face first to the hardwood floor. Luckily, he was prevented from injuring his head due to the intervention of the false nose. The tomato had helped him to his feet, and he had staggered to the bar to order the medicinal Guinness, which he hoped would calm his thumping heart. It did not, and he was unable to rid himself of the image of the bear who was bare beneath, which, he supposed, was merely practical. The bar's ambience, when crowded, could become uncomfortably hot and stuffy, as no doubt with the bear ensemble as well. And then the bear had joined him at the bar, but rather than speaking, had merely nodded, while emitting a low, rumbling growl from somewhere deep within the chest, which Wayne had so recently admired. Still rattled, Wayne has been able only to return the nod and pretend to be occupied with the mechanics of keeping the faux nez out of his beer. The bear seems to have many admirers. There is an almost constant stream of male, as far as he can tell, visitors, stopping to admire the costume or to buy the beast a drink. Wayne strains his ear in an attempt to catch her name, but whether in keeping with the spirit of the evening or some statistical anomaly, no one mentions it. Anyway, with each glass he consumes, Wayne's comprehension of events around him becomes more distorted, the conversations more garbled. He knows only that somehow he had to escort the bear back to her den and aid her in the shedding of her winter pelt. At last, Wayne decides he must speak, must declare himself a loser to Batman or to a Romulan warbird commander, or even to little Bo Peep, who is in need of shave. But how to begin? What ritual words of seduction apply to this specific heterosexual dynamic? Do bears enter into it at all, beyond the aura of All Hallows' Eve? And if so, does he know anything about them? He has read Marion Engel's novel, Bear, but he didn't really understand it, and had found much of it distasteful. Now that he comes to think of it, the sooner he gets this woman out of the bear suit, the better. He swivels his nose. I'd really like to get to know you better, he says carefully. The bear responds to this opening gambit by cocking its head slightly, a very human motion which can mean several things. Oh, how very interesting, or you must be joking, or even his head is so heavy it's giving me a stiff neck. With reckless confidence, Wayne decides that the bear is interested. This is confirmed as far as Wayne's altered state of consciousness is concerned by the bear's next gesture, a sweeping of paw and pointing of claw in the direction of the barmaid. Then Wayne's beer. This too is a universal gesture, meaning, I want to buy this man a drink. Thank you, Wayne says. What he has actually said is yank the, but he is not aware of the steady degradation of his linguistic abilities. This is unkindly common of you. The bear makes yet one more universal gesture of the think nothing of it class, then applies its snout to the long straw in its own fresh drink. Wayne decides the time has come. He stares earnestly into the bear's artificial eyes and begins his pitch. He is sure that his eloquence and intimations of erotic delight rival that of Percy Shelley or D.H. Lawrence. In reality, his soliloquy is the Reader's Digest version of a romantic philosophy gleaned from reviews of movies he has not understood, which in turn had been adapted from books he has not read. But the bear seems to like it. At one point, Wayne finds his arm being stroked by a pleasantly furry paw. A few moments later, the same paw and stroking movement is being applied to Wayne's upper thigh, slightly below and to left of his sword. Victory, Wayne thinks. Then begins to plan how to get the bear out of the bar and into his apartment, or hers, whichever's closer. It is then, as Wayne scans the bar to ascertain the most efficient egress, that he sees the other bear. Shit, he mumbles. Some random alarm bell warns him that the increasingly amorous bear on his left might well not be the bear of his dreams. Unfortunately, this moment of clear thinking does not extend to Wayne's next actions. Rather than a polite inquiry, he chooses to uncover the identity of his new friend by flailing at the costume's headpiece until he's established a firm enough grip to decapitate the struggling figure. The mass of rubber, fake fur, and plastic comes free in Wayne's hands to reveal that not only is the wearer not the woman of his earlier vision, but is no kind of woman at all. Wayne immediately recognizes Mordecai Tilbury, local entrepreneur, sometime alcoholic, and fiercely out and proud gay man. damn it, Tilbury, Wayne shouts, you're a man. Or Wayne shouted, rather, excuse me. Tilbury is not an easily flustered individual, nor is he as intoxicated as Wayne, and replies in calm and precise syllables. Very perceptive, Mr. Bergerac. And what are you, a wildebeest? Wayne recoils in a drunken fit of panic, flinging the bear's head away. It ricochets harmlessly from the hindquarters of a horse-clad couple to land upright in the middle of a tray of vegetarian nachos. We didn't order this, complained Sherlock Holmes. Wayne wheels unsteadily away from his disappointment, staggering in the direction of the bear across the room, his anger rapidly eclipsed by his desire. He is determined that this time there will be no mistaken identity, no deception. Before all else, he will make sure that this creature is the one he seeks. He stops short in front of the new bear, grabs the costume at the neck, then yanks downward with all his strength. There is a tearing sound and an outraged cry as the woman realizes what is happening. It is her. There is no mistaking the suddenly exposed bosom. And now that he has come this far, Wayne cannot stop himself from reaching for her again. Out of the corner of his eye, he can see that Tilbury has followed him and is gesturing grandly, attempting, apparently, to apologize. Suddenly, Wayne is spinning, not of his own volition. He closes his eyes to ward off vomiting, and his ears is a guttural growling that escalates into a full-blown roar, which further transforms into words. Get your hands off my wife, you asshole! Wayne opens his eyes. It is a third bear who is screaming at him. A very large and obviously very angry third bear. He is suddenly surrounded by bears. Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, Ursa Mordecai. And all of them are making mauling gestures in his direction. He is abruptly stricken with the cold sobriety born of fear and instinctively ducks under the several sets of massive paws, which are flailing within inches of his head. He can just make out, through gaps in the pinwheeling limbs, the front door only a few yards away, and his feet begin to move, his heart pounding, his stomach churning. Exit Wayne Moss, pursued by a bear. Thank you. By the way, the story in the book is somewhat longer. It was edited for time, so there are other delights, and some of them I suspect inappropriate. Thank you very much.
Test. Wow, there is so much talent and wonderful people in this room, and I am honored to share the stage with every single one of you. And so I would like to ask everyone to give a big round of applause for those artists and performances that went before me and the ones that will come after. Okay, not too much. Just kidding, I'm trying to work the room. So my name is Chris Majaki. I'm an actor and storyteller. I am Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, which is part of the territory that we're all on right now. So today I would like to share an excerpt from my play. It's a one-man show. It's been about 10 years in the making. I have been able to have the good fortune of sharing it with a couple different workshops, but not with a crowd as big and live as this one. So my heart rate is a little up. My goal with this play is I've applied for more workshop money, and I will be submitting it to the Toronto Fringe, and I have a good feeling it's going to be selected. A fair warning, as Mark has shared, there is depictions of drugs and drug use. Why is that in there? Well, this play is based off personal stories and life experiences that I have gone through. And so I'm going to share with you the beginning of this play, and I thank you all for bearing witness to the work and the stories that we're all doing tonight. Thank you. Whistling Pine, a dark comedy. Pre-show music playing, 50 Cent, in the club, from album Get Rich or Die Trying. Song transitions into soft drum beat, then into the sound of a rattle, which then slowly fades out. 3 shadowy figures appear. Young one speaks. Bonjour! Hello! Ah, geez, I thought you'd never get here. Chief Blackbird speaks. Shta-ta-ha! You have to learn to be patient. Ancient one speaks. Oh, I'm so tired. You know how long I had to travel to get here? So, what do you want? Why have you disturbed us? Why have you gathered us? Oh, there he is. Geez, this is the one I was telling you of. You disturbed my slumber for this? He does not see. Yes, his vision is very clouded. It's ever true. He's lost, but we have to help him. Hey, wake up. This is important. Why him? Why is he deserving of our attention? You've been here longer than me, so you should know. Watch your tongue. Show respect. Geez, he's one of us. Isn't that enough? Please, I can't stand to see him like this anymore. All right, send a warning. Will he even hear it? Feel it. We'll see. CJ enters. Okay, CJ, you've got this. There's a lot of people depending on you. It'll pay off in the end, right? Goddamn right. They need you, CJ. They need me. Oh. Yo, yeah, I've got it. Relax. I'm leaving soon. All right, peace. I just weighed up 1.75 grams of shine. Tony, yayo, nose candy, or more commonly known as Amazonian marching powder. Cocaine. 1.75 grams is half an 8-ball, a good little chunk of coke. So I pack it up really tight into a baggie, and I bury it deep in the 5th pocket of my jeans. Bling, bling. Yo, what? Yo, Smiley, is that you? Who's coming? I can't hear you. It's breaking up. Hello, Smy. My buddy Smiley. He does runs for me to my customers. Hey, Ma, Uncle Jack, what are you guys doing? Just watching the Leafs game. They're down 2-1 in the 3rd. Of course they are. Come on, boys, you can do this. Sit down, nephew. Join us. Visit for a little. My mom's brother, Jack, he left the reserve and is staying with us for a little while. He's trying to find work or go back to school in the fall. He talks about wanting to go for a sweat, too. medicine, spirits. I don't believe in all that, but it's cool that he does. Sorry, Uncle Jack. I'll be back later and we can hang. You're always in and out of the house. Where are you off to? Just gonna visit a buddy. Be back later. Hey, Ma, lay off the cinnamon buns. It's gonna go straight to your ass. Oh, well, I'll eat them all if I want to. Jeez. Oh, hey, Kev. What are you doing? Getting snacks. Gonna watch a movie. Little porn action. As if. That's my little brother, Kevin. We don't have the same father, but I don't see him as my half-brother. He's just my brother. All right, I'm gonna head out. Lock the door after I leave. Why? Just lock it, okay? But why, though? Because there's a lot of bad people out there in the world, and I don't want you guys to get hurt. It's just safer this way, okay? Safety first. Okay, relax, dude. I'll do it after you leave. I step out the back door. The moon is out. It's a quiet night. Sound effects of blackbird's alarm whistle is heard. Only the chirping of some stupid bird. I start walking through the backyard to head over to my buddies when, "Don't move or I'll shoot your ass! Don't move!" I see silhouettes. I'm surrounded. They have guns? I don't want to die. Get your hands in the air, hands in the air. It hits me. The thought, not a bullet. The cops. It's a raid. They throw me up against the brick wall in the back of my mom's place. My arms held tight behind my back. Don't move. Don't move. I hear a thunderous strike so loud, I feel my body rumble. Bang! Our back door cracks open and they pour into my mom's place. They bring me in. They're yelling at my mom. "Put your hands up, lady, and drop what you're holding." "But it's only a cinnamon bun." "Lady, drop the bun." "Hey, quit calling me lady. I ain't no dog." "Ma'am, bun down. Hands up. I'm not going to ask again." Cuff him. A cop starts to question me. "Where is it, CJ? We know it's here. Come on, where's your stash? This is going to be so much easier if you just tell us where it is." "You're a cop. You'll figure it out. Am I supposed to do your job for you?" Then I see my family, handcuffed, laying belly down on the floor. They look terrified. It's in the basement, in the little blue dresser, top drawer. What they won't know about is the drugs and money I've been secretly stashing in my brother's closet. "Go check it out." A few of them rush downstairs. I hear them cheering and laughing. "Not looking good for you, CJ." The officers walk me outside. All the neighbors are out front watching. They throw me in the cruiser. I check my pants pocket. It's bumpy. It's chunky. It's Coke. They missed this in the pat-down. Talk about incompetent. Holy crap. I gotta get rid of this. Can't let them find it. I'm a criminal. Criminal? How the hell did I get here? Suddenly, I get a craving for peanut butter and I'm 5 years old. "I like peanut butter. I like it so much, I'll get it any way I can, even if I have to steal it from anywhere. At home, my friends, even the neighbors. At home, I wait until my mom is not around, then I make a run for the kitchen, get the peanut butter, a spoon, and I run away and hide. No one can find me. No one knows. Not even my babysitter, Tammy. CJ? She cannot find me. I cannot be caught. Like, CJ, where are you? She didn't see anything. She can't prove anything. There you are. CJ, half the neighbors are missing their peanut butter, and I think you're the peanut butter bandit. You've got nothing on me. I didn't do it. You need evidence. I'm innocent. I swear, innocent. Ever since those peanut butter bandit days, I've been doing what I need to do to get what I want, need, and I end up in the back seat of a cop car. We arrive at the police station. It's getting very real. Okay, I've got to get rid of this Coke right now. Dump it in the back of this cruiser somewhere. Try to force it under the seat or something. Got it. Now I'll just pull it out and, oh shit, they're coming. I gotta bail. Shit. 2 cops pull me out of the car. One is pale, older, and kind of looks like a vampire. I call him Old Blood. The second one is young, stocky, and looks like he has a very low center of gravity. I call him Young Bull. Old Blood undoes my cuffs. Young Bull takes me into a small room and shuts the door. Take off all your clothes. At least take me to dinner first, hey? Nothing. As I begin to take my clothes off, the Coke! Can't take it out now. As I'm undoing my pants, I give the Coke a really good squeeze, hoping it'll blend into the material. I hand over my pants. Now, I'm just in my underwear. Underwear off! Come on, I have a Franken Beans just like you. What else is there to know? Strip or cavity search. I have no cavities, just fillings. Strip! Bend over. Cough. Do it! After being fingered for the first time, he leaves. Men. They'll probably find the Coke in my pants, the stash of drugs and money in my brother's closet. It's all over. I want out. I need out. Get me out of here. The door's open. Young Bull throws my clothes at me and watches me get dressed. Did they find the Coke? Old Blood takes my prints, mugshot, and they toss me into a holding cell. Finally, I can check. What? The Coke? It's still here? I'll flush it. Wait, what if I just put it up my nose? I'm really coming down now. I need a bump. Damn, I'm freezing. Am I gonna freeze to death in here or what? The door's opening. It's Old Blood, and he's carrying blankets. Blankets! A white man offering us blankets. What could go wrong? Now it's just me, a blanket, and my special little friend. Oh, I'm such a boss right now. I'm in a jail cell, but feeling just so damned happy. Oh, wonder how long they were watching me. Did someone tip them off? Who? My runners? One of the neighbors in my complex? A dissatisfied customer? Can't be. My customers always come back for more. But now it's all coming to an end. The drugs, the money, gone. Suddenly, I'm so tired, I can barely keep my eyes open. The sound of a shaking rattle slowly enters the space, as the image of a starry night and a fire is established with 3 figures sitting around it. Geez, so what do we do now? What's next? Shh, patience, watch and learn. Shh, 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 shh. We ask for strength for this young man, He is lost and cannot see, Miigwech gejemnado, miigwech miigwech gichimenatu, Shh, 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 shh. Jawishna gejemnado, Jawishna gejemnado, Jawishna gejemnado, Jawishna gejemnado. Shh, 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 shh. The singing and shaking rattle fades out. Oh, whoa! What was that? Must have been a dream, but it felt so real. Then I hear a voice that sounds familiar in the cell across from me. Oh, geez, Creator, I messed up real bad. Creator, I could really use your help. Marcus? Creator? No, you idiot, it's me, CJ. Holy heck, what's up, CJ? Man, they got me for the Coke. Got pulled over by the cops right after I left your place. Yo, whoa, did you rat me out? Yo, what'd you tell them? Tell me. It's just my bad luck, bro. They said they've been watching you for a while. They arrested me right there on the spot. I'm telling you the truth, bro. I swear. Hand to God, hand to Creator. Even at my worst, Creator has my back. even while you're stuck in a jail cell. Well, I was thinking, new charges, I'll probably get more jail time. My wife and kid, how am I going to take care of them now? I have an addiction. I want to go to detox, but I'm scared, bro. I don't know if I can handle it. So I pray because I want someone to listen, someone to talk to. And now you're here, brother. Maybe Creator meant for our paths to cross. Sure, if that's what works for you. I didn't know the cops were watching me. It's okay, bro. I should probably get my act together anyway. True. Want to do some coke? Seriously, bro? They strip searched me and missed the coke and the baggies in my pockets. Count me in. I pour some coke into one of the baggies and tie it off. Okay, I'm going to start doing some push-ups. And on the last one, as I get up, I'll throw it to you underhand style, okay? As I finish the last push-up, I carefully but swiftly throw my arm in a forward motion. My hand hits one of the bars, causing the coke to land halfway across the hall. Damn it! Marcus is taking his shirt off. What the hell are you doing? Going fishing. He holds one end of the shirt and tosses the rest out, hoping to catch it on the coke. It catches. Reel it in, Marcus! I see a little face in the window. It's Old Blood. He's coming in. I start backing up to the toilet because if Marcus gets caught with this blow, I'm flushing the rest of mine. Guard it! What the hell's going on in here? What the hell were you reaching for on the floor? Marcus pulls something from his pocket. It was just this feather, officer. Old Blood examines it for a moment. Seems like a lot of trouble to go for a feather. Crazy Indians. Old Blood leaves. Holy smokes, Marcus! Where did that feather come from? This is a baby eagle feather I carry for strength. It's for my religion, so they let me keep it. Miigwech Creator. Chimiigwech CJ. Transition. Sound effects of door opening. Bzzz. 2 cops enter. No, these guys are detectives. The first one is tall. I call him Tall Bird. The second one is a bit hefty with chest hair that pops out of the collar of his shirt. I call him Big Bear. Big Bear starts in. Where's the gold money clip? There's a bunch of officers going through your mom's underwear drawer right now. Next, we're going into your brother's room, and then your uncle's. Did anyone else's butthole just get a little bit tighter? Now, Tall Bird leans in. If we find even just a tiny little bit of cocaine in their possession, they'll be joining you down here. You don't want that on your conscience, do you, CJ? The more you cooperate, the better it'll be for you when you're in front of the judge. Why don't you tell us something about your connection? Got a name? Phone number? They want me to talk. They think I'm going to snitch. They think I'm a rat. I ain't no rat. I ain't no rat. Tisk, 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 tisk. Now we have to finish booking you since you're not willing to provide any substantial information. But if you change your mind, we're here to help. They finish booking me, give me my personal effects, walk me out the front door of the cop shop, and let me go. I'm about to start walking home when one of my drivers pulls up. He takes me back to my mom's place. The kitchen is a mess, and so is the living room. Most of the lights are off. Uncle Jack and Kevin are sitting in the living room with the TV playing very quietly. Hey guys, shh, not so loud. Your mom's upstairs trying to sleep. It's gotten quiet only just a little while ago. The cops were here for real long. There were so many of them. Uncle Jack won't stop walking back and forth between the living room and kitchen, checking the blinds of the windows. Hey Kev, you all right? I guess. I feel tired, it's so late. Mom was crying in her room earlier. I'm just processing everything, trying to. I didn't think I'd come home to something like this. I see my mom standing at the stairs. CJ, I can't sleep. I feel anxious. My hands are shaking, look. I didn't know what a raid was. I was terrified. Geez, I don't feel safe now. This place will be labeled a drug house. It's not a home anymore. I feel like the whole neighborhood is disgusted with us living here. It's all good now, Ma. See? We're good now. I'm sorry, guys. You know that. My family doesn't say a word. My mom goes back upstairs to her room. How long were they in your room searching? They weren't in our rooms at all. What? The search warrant only had your name on it, so they could only legally search your room and the communal areas of the house. That's it. I run upstairs to my brother's room, check his closet, and there it is, my stash. 2 ounces of coke and some money. It's not a lot, but enough to get me by and cover my losses. Holy crap, I'm back, baby! A few hours later, bring, ring. CJ, who's calling here so late? Better not be one of your drug dealer friends. No, it's not, Mom. Probably just a friend checking up on me. Hello? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll be right out. Thank you very much. Who are we introducing next? Darla? Carla, sorry. Everybody give a round of applause for Carla.
Hola, friends. I'm Carla Coles. I write things, I paint things, and I hang out in cafes. Most of my poems were inspired by Stratford, in and abouts, my observations, and things that happened to me. So I will start with this one, and it was inspired by John Street pre-construction. My headphones died, so sitting here, listening to the traffic, the rumbling purr of the engines, as they rise and dip to the hills on John Street, navigating the plentiful potholes with the sing-song whump whump of their tires, playing rhythm, rubber and pavement, instrumental beats, a jarring ode to the now. All right, this one's called 129B Downey Street. For those of you who recognize that address, it's my friend Teddy. He's a local artist, author, ladies' man, and famous for his soirees at such address. He's since moved on, and I got a chance to go up and check out the place. It's now an Airbnb. The studio apartment, sparse now, almost empty, seemingly so small to have once held such a huge personality. All right. This one is also on Downey Street. It's right across the street. If you look up from, Teddy's place, you see the skyline and the gargoyles up on the building across the street. Rain, fog, haze, gargoyles, perched above on the red brick along the Downey Street block, abandon their posts to stretch their wings and scurry atop the buildings against the gray backdrop, movements lost in the blur of the rain. I do spend a lot of time at cafes. So I've written a lot about hanging out in the local coffee houses. Repurposed. In this building, a lifetime ago, they used to sell seeds to the farmers and the gardeners. They walked through these heavy doors, and they hoped, and they wished, and they prayed for something to sprout, to bloom, and to grow. In the now, there's a cafe, and through those heavy doors, the space is still saturated with intent. With my coffee and my pastries sitting in the comfy seats, I've witnessed ideas sprouted, creativity blooming, and friendships grow. Quite often around town and in the cafes, they have art shows. A warm Tuesday in April at the cafe. Weird mood under the happy. The enjoying of the sunshine is tainted with an undercurrent of the distracted. The not quite focused on the here. It's loud and it's bungled. Not able to make out the voices, just the tone. But there is new art. Black and whites and 2 large canoes. Maybe that's it. The canoes, just sitting there, jutting out of the brick. It's unsettling, hovering like bumblebees, in the exact case of shouldn't bees. But there they are, sailing in that sideways river, skillfully avoiding the light fixtures. I tilt my head, slowly giving in to the vertigo, washing over me. I want to run my hands, crawl up inside. Those marvelous boats, beautiful twin canoes, wood rubbed smooth, glowing with care taken and love given, floating by just out of my reach. I cling to my big ceramic mug, letting its weight and warmth anchor me in the big comfy chair docked in the front window, letting my thoughts go adrift. Not every experience at the cafe is so good. I was there the once, and somebody was sitting in my seat. The cafe was mobbed, too many bodies in my space, no seats at all, especially no seats at the coveted front window and the comfy chairs. Instead, sequestered to, squeezed in at the long, hard benches that run along the wall. I cup my coffee and glare, fixed focus on my up-close and personal view of the red heritage brick. Noise pushing up against my back, disjointed from the source, lost on me, separated, disenfranchised from the herd. I am a lone garden gnome facing the wrong way. Trapped in my own endless game of peekaboo, can't see me, I can't see you. April 23. One of the great things I got to do was sitting in the cafe is watching the change of marketplace, the ballet of construction and deconstruction and the hope of what the new space would bring. Past the dust, there is sunshine, the sky boasting an endless blue, unbroken, except for a lone pigeon soaring with all the importance of an eagle, the slow roll of the yellow cement truck giving permanence to the plans for a new marketplace. So, along with watching what goes on around me, I get to watch the people. And this one was about a local artist, David Sharp. And we got to meet over art and coffees. And this was me watching him as he crossed the market. Watching from my seat, the painter walked across the square. Slow and thoughtful. Looking, he pauses, staring at the bench. I love that he is seeing so much more. Caught in that extended glance, a moment of attention to the lines and the textures and how the light is hitting that seat right now. And I love that I caught that hesitation of observation, and I love that I understood. One more. Stratford Creative. Quiet little cafes, pockets of inspiration, fueled by caffeine and conversation bubbles. Ink becomes blood in a story's vein, spark of life, thought becomes idea. Out the window, subtle river and old brick across the timeless bridges, trees and park between the lines, a town built on dreams, fertile ground, fostering creative. Music rises, instrumental tones coming together, exploring ideas. electric with possibilities. There lies an undercurrent, contagious and viral. Thanks for having me. We welcome Mark back to the stage, the architect of this event.
What a rich legacy of talent we have in this town. Talent and boundless creativity. I'd like to thank our storied Stratford performers, Sheila McCarthy, Aviva Goad, Lauren Nielsen, Graham Abbey, Kelly McIntosh, Stacey Smith, Bruce Barber, Chris Majaki, and Carla Coles. You were all incredible. And thanks to all of you for your enthusiasm and your genuine appreciation of the events and the performers and the performances this evening. This event wouldn't be possible without the support of many people that made the Provocation Ideas Festival possible in Stratford, from its beginning in Toronto to its expansion to Stratford. To Fanford Books, our co-presenter, I'd like to thank Bob Newland for his support and his suggestions. And the offer to sell some books. And of course, if you signed up, you can get some of the books that were performed this evening. I want to make a very special debt of gratitude to Don Shipley, another world-renowned Stratford-based theater director who guided me through the programming of Storied Stratford, suggested performers and readings, made contacts, and made innovative suggestions with patience and with humor. So thank you, Don. I also want to thank our many generous sponsors and supporters, including Destination Stratford and the grant that they provided, the BMI Group, Cynthia Hastings and Thomas Edge, who were in the audience, Fanfare Books, Fisher Media, the Future Cities Institute at the University of Waterloo, Gallery Stratford, Home and Company, Hunter Steele, Invest Stratford, Lorena McKennett, whose music you heard as you entered the building, Marsha Matsui and Roger Cotton, who were also in the audience, Mercer's, Our Story, Rayo Thompson Candies. They went very quickly, unfortunately, so some of you didn't get them. Royal LePage, Hiller Realty, Springworks Stratford, Stratford District Chamber of Commerce, Stratford Public Library, and Town Crier Marketing. If you're interested in providing financial or in-kind support to the festival, there is a sponsorship package at the registration table as well, and that always makes us plan and allows us to plan and hold future events. I also want to thank Andy Foster for his incredibly inventive City of Dreamers graphic and the videos he produced and the posters and the signs he did, and you saw them on the screen this evening. Many thanks to John Hazen, our incredible sound technician, and Andre DePlante for his skilled filming of this evening's event. And a big thank you to Sonia Rohani, the Vice Principal of Nancy Campbell, for providing us with the auditorium, and Victor Gutierrez at Nancy Campbell for all his wonderful logistic support. To Ron Dodson, Don Shipley, Andy Foster, and Katie Meekak for their blue skying that led to the City of Dreamers programming this year and will lead to the programming next year and the year after. And last but not least, to Leora Risson for incredible and limited support in so many ways. Thank you all. We hope to see at least some of you at our Culinary Stratford event on January 9th. So that wraps it up for the fall. Thank you, and safe travels home.